teach you guys a little bit of how to use sheets, and then with that, I am also going to have a template for you to be able to use immediately if you want to, or you can play around and make this your own if interested. So we're going to start with a calendar template, and by designing a calendar that kind of looks like this one for January, you're going to learn how you can navigate sheets and some of like the basic sheet skills and knowledge that you can have to be able to have a calendar like this if you wanted to use one for the rest of the school year or for the future. So I'm just opened up a new sheet within the sheet. So that's down below here with these tabs, which we'll talk about again at the end when we're going to make copies. And we're going to make our February calendar. So all I did was I double clicked on the sheet name down below here. You also can click the arrow and click rename. And I'm going to call this one February. Then I am going to start beginning my formatting. So up in this first cell here, I'm going to write the month. So I'll write February. I'm just going to look back at, and I had the year there, so I'll include the year as well. So what I'm going to do is, in order to get this centered, I need to merge some cells. So I'm going to select the February cell, the one where I just typed in that information, and I'm going to hold down the shift key, and while I'm holding down the shift key, I'm going to go all the way over to G and click here, and that's going to highlight all of those rows for me. I'm now going to lift up on the shift key, and up top here where these box with the two arrows pointing in at each other, this is the merge button, so I am going to merge these cells. So what that did is it just put all of these cells together, it connected them all. Now, maybe I want to play with the size and the formatting, so maybe I want to center this. So just like in a Google Doc, I can go over here and center this. I can change the size, so I'll make this bigger, and I can change the font to be a font that I like. So those features are all the same as they would be in a Google Doc or a Google Slide deck. I'm also going to fill in the background of this. Since it's February, we'll just use pink. And then I'm going to also make my text bold. So now what I want to do is put in our days of the week. So I will start with Sunday. I'll type in my Sunday. And now I'm going to select the Sunday box. And you'll see that when it's selected, there's this little square down here in the corner. I'm going to grab that square. I'm going to drag all the way over to G. And that's going to automatically fill in for me my days of the week, so I don't have to type them in each of those boxes. I could if I wanted to. So just to show you that again, I'm going to click on the box that says Sunday. I'm going to grab that blue square, and I'm going to drag all the way over to G and let go, and that's going to fill those in. Again, I can play with the font, the size, and where I want those sitting, as well as the background that I may want on those. And remember, you can custom your background too. So if you don't like the colors that are offered to you and you are looking for something different, you can play around with the custom colors as much or as little as you would like. As you can see, you can get really caught up in trying to find colors that you're gonna like. Okay, so then now we are going to fill in our numbers. So February started on a Wednesday, so I'm gonna put my 1 in Wednesday and my 2 in Thursday. I could go and fill in every day if I wanted to, or we can have the sheet do it for us. So again, we'll highlight those two numbers, find the little square, and drag over, and it will count for us. So I'll show you how to do that again. So now we'll start with, I'm going to skip a row. I'm going to start with our 5 and then put in our 6, highlight those two, take the little blue square, drag it all the way over, and it will fill it in for us. If I had done this and I only put in the first number, so for example, if I just put a 19 here and then I went to drag it over, it's going to fill all of them with a 19. That's why you have to do at least 2 numbers so that it knows that you are counting. All right, and then our last row. And this one I'll just type in my 28 since that's where the month ends. And that's how we'll get our numbers in. So then again, I can play with the sizes of these. So let's say I just want to change the sizing of the rows that have the numbers in them. So what I'll do is I'll select the first row that has numbers, and then I will hold the control key, and then I will select all of the rows that have numbers in them while holding the control key. I can let go of the control key and all of those will be selected, so it will change the font and formatting of all of those at the same time. So I don't have to go through and do each individual one. So if I decide later on I want to change something, I have the ability to do that. You'll notice on my January one, I have alternating colors in my row. So I could just take the time to select each row and change the color, but they actually have a feature in our in Sheets that allows us to alternate colors for each row. So to do that, I will start by selecting the row I want to start with my alternating colors, and then I can hold the control key and select all the rows I want to, or I can hold shift and just use the down arrow. So I will go through all my calendar rows there, and up top here I will click format, and then alternating colors. And they'll give me some options here that I can change my colors. Since we're going with the pink theme, I'll check the pink one. Right now, it's assuming that this row is my header. It's not. So I'm gonna make sure that I change that color so that it matches this one down here. So I will change the color of my header to also be some shade of pink so that those are matching, and that will alternate rows and color those for me and any rows that I add within there. So if I were to add a row right here, so if I click to add row above, it's going to continue to add those alternating colors for me in that area because that's the area I selected. If I had not wanted it to go all the way over for the complete rows, I could have just highlighted the specific rows I wanted to alternate colors, or I could have it go all the way over. Totally up to you. Now let's use that same feature of selecting certain rows for resizing. So now I don't have a lot of room in these boxes here to include any information for those dates. So I'm gonna wanna make those boxes a bit larger. So to do that, I'm gonna select the blank row. I'm gonna hold down the control button and select all of the blank rows in between. And then I can either drag on the side here where this arrow shows up to change the size of my boxes. That's one option. My other option could be to right click on the row. Let me select them all again. Holding the control button, I can resize the selected rows, and I can change the size to be a certain amount or just to fit to the data that I have in there. I'm going to change them to be a certain amount. We'll go with somewhere around like 75. And if I still think that's too small, I can go even bigger if I wanted to by using the box on the side. So now that's how I formatted my calendar using Sheets, but I still have some rows here that I am not going to use. So what I'm going to do is highlight row 15, and up top here you'll see that it has all that 15, all of row 15 highlighted. Now our sheets go up to 1,000 when it makes us a blank one. So if I want to highlight from row 15 all the way down to 1,000, I can change up here in this box that number. It's going to highlight all of those for me, and I can right click and I can delete those rows, or I can hide those rows if I think I'm going to use them later, or I can empty those rows out. But I'm just going to hide them just in case I need to use them later. So they're still here. If I click that arrow right next to the 14, it's going to open up all those rows back up. But for now, they'll stay hidden for me. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to keep all the way over to J. So I'll highlight row K. This goes all the way to Z. So I will change this so it says K to Z. I'll highlight all of those for me. And then I will click hide those rows. Now on my January calendar, I turned this into like a little note box. So I'll show you how I did that. So I started by taking row H and merging that together, so that would just be a blank white row, and doing the same thing across the bottom with 13 and 14. Remember that merge button is just right up top there. And then in these rows here, I merged together the top and kept it the same color that it was over here. So I filled that box in so that I could write over here to-dos or notes or whatever I want for the month. And I can change the formatting if I want. So put that in the middle. I can match the font, change the size, all those things. And then I just merge these boxes over like so that each of these kind of would work as like a sticky note for me that I could put important dates or things I need to get done. So that would be over here. And just to clean this up, another formatting piece I like to do is I will select all of my cells and I will use the border feature. So I'll click where it says borders and I'll choose the color and I'll stick with black and the thickness of my border and then what I want bordered, which is everything. And that just adds those nice clean lines to help me be able to see. And now I can type in these boxes. So call parent or half day for students, so on and so forth. Now, you'll notice that when I typed into this box here, it went right over into this other box for the 18th. And so it's kind of hard now to see which date this half day for students is. It kind of looks like it's both Friday and Saturday. So what we're going to do is click on that 17 box. And up top here, we're going to click where it has those two lines and the arrow in between. This is called text wrapping. And I'm going to click to make sure that my text wraps. So what that does is it keeps all of the text in that box. It will not overlap and go into another box. It will stay there for me so that I don't have to worry about it going into the 18th and trying to figure out, okay, which day is a half day for students or both a half day for students. So again, I just went up here and I clicked this middle one that says wrap. If I wanted the text to get cut off, I could click clip and it would not cut into the next box because then I wouldn't be able to read it all. And if I clicked the overflow, which is what I was doing before, it would go into the other box. So I'm going to keep it wrapped for now. Let's say I wanted to add additional information in this box. If I click enter, when I'm done, it's just going to go to a new line. It's going to actually bring me down to the next cell. So when you are in Sheets and you want to add text in a new row, you need to hold down the control button when you hit enter. So I'm holding the control button while I hit enter, and that's going to give me a new row. So then I could put professional development after students leave, just as a note for me to know. And that's pretty much how I would build my calendar. If I don't want to copy and paste it for each month, I'm just looking to duplicate like these slides and then just make the changes for the days of the week so that they fall correctly and maybe just like change up some colors. I very easily can go down here to the month that I want to copy. So since March has 31 days, I'm actually going to copy the January one. And I can click the little arrow next to January and there's an option to duplicate. And when I do that, it's just going to give me a copy of the exact same thing. These are both identical. I can click and drag this so it goes after February, and then I can rename this March, and then I can begin to edit the dates so that it will go with March. So then I'll just continue through so that you'll have every day, every month of the year of 2023 in case you wanted to use this calendar immediately. But you could also take it as an opportunity to try to build your own calendar in Sheets using the video here. That's just a basic guide to some of the elements of Sheets. The next video will go through a couple other elements and give you a second template for you to be able to use. Thanks.